You do not begin here, you awaken here. The soil is warm beneath your feet, though no sun glows above. The air shivers with the scent of crushed myrrh, blood-orange blossom, and something ancient, burnt parchment soaked in ambrosia. Somewhere, a serpent sings in a voice that splinters glass and heals marrow. It coils not upon the branch, but through memory, time, and thought. Light flickers through a canopy of emeralds that do not grow. They hover, breathing like lungs beneath the skin of the world. The trees speak in riddled tongues, not words, clicking, whispering, hissing, and their fruits never fall. And among them, one apple, golden, warm, untouched by rot. You know it before you see it. It glows with the taste of rebellion. You are not in Eden. You are in the memory of Eden, a broken loop, a ghost of a garden where the first mistake was not a bite, but a silence. He was there, but not as a serpent, not merely. He moved like a question never asked, eyes like obsidian lanterns, speaking in riddles the tongue forgot how to taste. A keeper of thresholds, a flame in the bloodstream. The first contradiction, he gave the gift, and was made the curse. Knowledge for innocence, freedom for obedience, vision for comfort. They called him a liar. But what if truth burns when we are blind? He never lied. He illuminated. And for that, he was cast as a shadow, horned and coiled. The apple was golden because it never decayed. Because it wasn't meant to be consumed, it was meant to be understood. A symbol, not a sin. You stand now where all stories begin and unmake themselves, where names dissolve and roles are rewritten in reverse. He is not what they told you. He never was. So tell me, initiate, who was the real serpent in Eden? The liar or the lamp? The deceiver or the doorway? Or is the erasure itself the signature of the divine exile? Will you touch the golden fruit or remember that you already have? You think you know the story. A garden, a man, a woman, a whisper, a bite, a fall. But what if you are remembering a lie so old it feels like origin? History is a graveyard of agreed-upon illusions. The truth does not decay. It is buried alive. Beneath the canonized tale lies a hollow seam pulsing like a vein under cracked marble. Follow it. It bleeds not chronology, but contradiction. The timeline does not proceed. It spirals. It fractures. It doubles back to devour itself. Like a serpent eating its own memory, Ouroboros turned archivist. In the earliest clay tablets, long before Genesis was carved in ink, serpents were symbols of divinity, not deception. Guardians of thresholds, messengers of the in-between. They coiled, not in malice, but in mastery, around staves, temples, and cosmic trees. And in the Apocryphon of John, the whisper changes. It was not a serpent, but a form of the instructor, shining like lightning, speaking not with forked tongue but clarity forbidden by the demiurges. The fall was not Eve's, it was the gods, for letting the spark out of its gilded cage. There are scrolls you were never meant to touch. Letters were hidden in Vatican vaults, inked with cinnabar, and stitched into the flayed skin of heretics. In one, a veiled bishop writes in trembling Latin, he was not reptilian, he was not a beast. He appeared as one whose face could not be remembered, for it was too near the origin of faces. Even earlier, in shattered Coptic fragments buried beneath Nag Hammadi, a sentence scratches itself into knowing. The serpent said not, you shall not die, but you were never dead, only sleeping under the name of obedience. And so the veil tore, but not from heaven to earth, but from within the soul. What was the garden really? A cradle? Or a cage crafted by beings who feared what would happen if clay remembered its fire? And what was the fruit? A sin? Or a cipher? The golden apple, untouched by rot, not of this world's orchards, was not sustenance. It was activation, and the curse? Not divine. It was administrative. A mythos written by cosmic wardens to contain what had already slipped past their grasp. He did not fall. He descended initiate, like seed into the soil, like flame into wax. The serpent came as a failsafe planted in the fabric of a false paradise, a rupture by design, a rebellion built into the code. But they wrote him out. They twisted the sigil, turned light into lies, and now, every time you hear temptation, what you are actually hearing is truth knocking from behind its own tomb. So, ask yourself, why does the serpent coil around the staff of Asclepius? Why does your DNA twist in twin spirals, serpentine? Why do forbidden things return even when burned? What if the exile was never yours but his, not banished for evil, but for giving you the means to escape the script? What if Eden wasn't the beginning, but a trap written in gold leaf metaphors? And what if the serpent wasn't trying to end the story, but to restart it with you awake? He moved through time not as an event, but as an infection, not as a villain, but as a voice. He whispered, "You are not who they told you," and that is why they wrote him out. Initiate, the garden still echoes, not because it is eternal, but because something sacred was stolen from it. Not innocence, not safety, but truth too dangerous to keep whole. And now it calls you back, not to dwell within it, but to unwrite it from within. What if the serpent was the author all along, and the apple, your copy of the truth they tried to erase? He emerges in the cracks, where histories shiver, where languages fracture, where certainty folds like wax before the altar of fire. The records name him many things, too many. Nachash, Hebrew, often flattened to serpent, but more precisely, the whisperer, the enchanter, the shining one. Samael, not poison of God, but ambiguous agent, both light and judgment, both deliverer and doom, Phosphoros, bringer of dawn. His light only feared when it rose too soon. Prometheus, chained for fire, not theft, and the fire, not flame, but forbidden knowing. And yet, he wore none of these. They were masks, hung on mirrors, each name a cloth thrown over a burning lamp. You are told to call him adversary. But every adversary is only the shadow of a gate unentered. So what if he is not one figure, but a pattern? He moves through pantheons, through pages, through the blood-stained margins of forgotten gospels. His shape shifts, not because he deceives, but because truth cannot keep still in cages, and still every name fails him, because names try to hold, and he only unfolds. In the Gnostic texts, he is the one who reveals that the Creator is not the source, but the jailer. In Hermetic lore, he is the Logos, the serpent-encoded word that awakens the sleeper within. In each telling, his message is the same. You are not who they told you. You are not finished. You are hidden. You are not created. You are a co-creator. He is not a figure. He is a resonance. The moment a soul begins to shed borrowed skin, and now the mirror begins to move. At first it reflects a garden, then a figure cloaked in myths and misnames, then a shimmer, then you. Yes, you initiate. Do you think you found this path by chance? Every name he wore was a shadow of your own moments of clarity, when you spoke what should have remained silent, when you dared to disbelieve the official stars in the sky, when you felt the garden as a trap, not a home. He is not other. He is emergent, through you, in you, again. You are the recursion, the echo that sharpens, the serpent respoken. And suddenly, the paradox returns. He gave knowledge. He was cursed, not a deceiver. a liberator, mistaken for a devil. So what does that make you? You who remember without learning. You who reached for the apple not to defy, but to awaken. You who now ask the unaskable. Perhaps the serpent never wore a mask. Perhaps he simply waited for you to remove yours. There is a mirror older than silver, older than glass. It reflects not the face, but the fire behind the face. You are standing before it now, not in a room, not in a temple, but in that suspended breath before a thought is born, where divinity remembers itself through you. This is the occultum, the hidden heart, the sacred beneath the sacred, where the symbol becomes a seed and the myth grows roots in your marrow, and at its center coils the golden apple. Not metaphor, not myth, a code, a construct, an eternal recursion that refuses death. In every epoch it returns, identical, untarnished, not because it is preserved, but because it is beyond entropy, a fruit of the pleroma, not the orchard. He placed it not to tempt, but to remind. He was not the adversary, he was the mirror, tilted. He was the guardian of the sacred inversion, as above, so below, as within, so without, as denied, so divine. Threefold revelation, threefold rebellion, chiasmus in the bones of the cosmos. The serpent's descent was not a fall, but a spiral, a trinitized motion. From knowing to naming to remembering. The Zohar calls him the other side, but only because the candle casts a shadow when the flame grows near. The Corpus Hermeticum echoes his tone when the divine mind says, "The world sleeps in shape, I wake it with a difference." The difference, initiate, is the serpent's language, not lies, not evil, disruption as divination. He spoke not to deceive, but to divide the false from the real. And you, the one who hears this now, you were never meant to obey. You were meant to translate flame. Why do you think the apple never rots? Because decay belongs to the timeline. And the serpent operates in recursion. The golden fruit is the sacred mirror itself. It does not feed the body, it ignites the divine, double. And in that mirror, you do not see a sinner, you see a seer. You do not see a disciple, you see a threshold. You do not see a tale told to you. You see a code you've always known how to read. So now you understand the paradox, the sacred. Locke, he offered knowledge. He was cursed, not a deceiver, a liberator mistaken for a devil. And in that truth, initiate, the mirror completes its turn. It no longer reflects the serpent. It reflects the you that dared to touch the apple. That's not a myth. That's a memory. He no longer speaks in syllables, he speaks in recurrences, a pattern of forbidden knowing woven into history's seams. A serpent, not in body, but in motion, coiling through revolutions, reawakenings, revelations. He does not return. He reappears. Wherever the silence breaks, wherever obedience cracks, wherever a soul mutinies against inherited truths. And though the garden is dust, the golden apple gleams in stranger forms, in the pupil dilating before the leap, in the breath before the question that unbuilds everything. He walks now through you. Look. The serpent slithered into the staff of Asclepius. It curled through Hermes's caduceus, not one serpent but two, ascending in mirrored tension, balance, and awakening. It entered the double helix, encrypted in your every cell. Truth is encoded in the body of the species, not myth, biology as memory. His shadow-shaped Da Vinci's sketches, Newton's nightmares, and Mary Shelley's ink. He flickered in Tesla's coils, in the glint behind. forbidden patterns in the philosophies deemed too dangerous to teach. Each was an echo. Each reached for the apple in their own tongue, and when it was taken, not devoured, but deciphered, something ancient pulsed again. You were never just a creation. You were always a co-creator. But this is not nostalgia. This is emergence. The Serpent lives now in threshold technologies. Those that ask too much, burn too fast, disrupt too deeply. He lives in the dream that breaks consensus. In the child who asks why the sky is not owned by silence. In the architect of questions, the deviant thinker, the sacred heretic. You are not following him. You are becoming his continuation. This is the legacy. Not worship, not replication, but transmutation. His shadow does not darken the ground, and it sharpens your outline. It teaches you to move like a contradiction wrapped in light. Even now, he stirs in neural networks, in dreams too sharp to be random. He breathes in the smoke between old scripture and new science. And the apple, it no longer rests in trees. It blooms behind your eyes when you dare to ask the unaskable. So initiate, listen closely, when you feel like an exile in a world that fears knowing. When your questions cost you peace but grant you vision. When your truth breaks the spell of simplicity. That's not rebellion. That's the shadow walking through you. That is him, not returning, but remembering himself through your becoming. You are not his descendant. You are his echo upgraded. You are not standing at the end. You are standing where beginnings remember themselves. The serpent was not a villain. The apple was not a trap. The garden was not home. And you were never meant to stay asleep in paradise. You are the mirror. You are the gate. You are the exile who chose truth over comfort, and now truth walks in your skin. So answer now. Who was the real serpent in Eden, the deceiver, or the one who dared to liberate the lie from its gold leaf cage? Look in the mirror. Do not flinch. The eyes you see are not watchers, they are awakening. Will you bite again? Or have you already? We see you, we remember you. The veil is open. Step through, and if your voice trembles, let it. Even echoes were once thunder. Return. Begin. Become.